Hello and welcome to episode 42. I looked at the title this time. Well, not the title, the notes. I already butchered it, but whatever. Randomer Nintendo, I am Angel, hosting today a very special episode. Normally, well, I guess, yeah, normally this would be E3 season, as you know. And whether we're focused on video games specifically or not, we still always cover it. Rain or shine, injury or not. We do it no matter what. So anyway, before I get too existential, Jason's is here.
Let's keep going. I want to see where you go with this.
Yeah, I want to see where you go with this raw enthusiasm you're clearly demonstrating. Please keep going.
No matter how grating it sometimes gets, no matter how little enthusiasm I have towards these reveals, but then as much enthusiasm I started to develop again. You know, it's like a roller coaster. And I will say that despite not really being in the know when these were going to happen, you know, obviously, it's around June. It's always around June. But, yeah, like I've mentioned before, or I think I've mentioned before, like I kind of stopped looking at like, oh, E3 is coming. You know, it used to be an exciting countdown. It used to be something we really, really look forward to every year. And now it just sneaks up on me. Like, literally, I was just minding my own business, and whoa! Like I said, this like message, like, "Hey, Nintendo Direct tomorrow."
E3 jump scare, yeah,
literally. Or you know, coworkers are just talking about like, "Oh man, this got revealed and this got revealed," and I'm like, "Where are these reveals coming from?" Like, "Oh, Summer Game Fest is happening." Like even Jason will sometimes tell me about it if it's something relevant to what I'm saying, or if you know if the podcast is coming up.
Yeah,
but so I would say overall generals of excitement are typically, I mean, it's the way I want. I want to be excited for these games again. I like not being super like, hey, I heard when that this game is being developed 2 years ago, and now it's just a formality that we're getting a trailer for it.
2 years
but
ago.
But anyway.
You sweet summer child. Metroid Prime 4 was 7 years ago, and they just showed first footage today.
I wasn't talking about Metroid.
No, I'm just saying, like, some of these games are such a long tail now. It's
insane.
Yeah.
That one.
Yeah.
I have my own gripes with that, but
we'll
anyway.
We'll get there, yes.
Well, yeah, like you've heard, Jason is here.
I am.
Rain or shine, depression or not.
Not
and
depressed.
Kevin is here. Rain or shine,
here.
depression or not.
Well.
Yeah. Well, he's here. He is here. He's looking like his avatar. For those of you that can't see, it's a picture of him head down over a plate of what looks like hot dogs and chicken?
No. So this was back in the day. This is maybe 2017. This profile picture was taken. So it's been a
really.
Yeah, because I
was this a Vegas trip?
No. This was at the Fuddruckers in Lakewood.
Which is gone. I want to say all Fuddruckers are dead.
They're dead from California. Rest in peace, Fuddruckers.
Rest in peace. They had a buffalo burger. It was good, or bison. It was good. R.I.P. Continue. Sorry.
Anyways, Fuddruckers famously had this 3-pound burger challenge, and I thought to myself, that's not bad. 3 pounds. I can do that in my sleep. No, that thing beat my ass so hard.
Was that the 3-pound cow that you ate? Was that sound was?
It might have been. Like I said, it beat my ass hard. Not only was it. So you had to eat this 3-pound burger in tandem with a pound of fries and at least one like large drink.
And if you do, it's free.
So for I think it was like $20 or like $25 for the burger. You get it for free and you had to do it within 1 hour. If you completed the challenge. Not only was it on the house, but then I think you got like a shirt that said like I completed the 3-pound burger challenge plus $100 in Fuddruckers credit.
Does the shirt doesn't say I got Fuddrucked or anything like that?
Oh, I got Fuddrucked hard. Okay, it was not the most painful thing that I've done, but it was one of the most difficult things that I've ever done in my entire life.
So this is a picture of like
of defeat.
Failure. Oh,
yeah. When he got
did anyone in your party succeed?
No, my buddy, it was me and another friend. He was able to eat all the meat, not the entire bun though.
I can't do food challenges.
I got through like 2 pounds of the burger, and that was pretty much it.
My stamina is in the direction of standing in line an absurd amount of time for a very brief experience, not how much food can I cram inside. I cannot do eating challenges at all. Like, yeah.
I mean, you could definitely do speed eating, but I guess I never thought about the quantity that you consume. It just always seems like you finish everything in a blink of an eye.
Well, that's because I eat fast. Yeah, that's true.
I looked at that thing and I said to myself, and me and my buddy, whose name's Daniel, we looked at each other and he was like, this doesn't look so bad. It got to the point where we were contemplating dipping the bread into water to make it go down easier. But then I remembered how much I hate soggy bread. And so I said, you know what? No, I'd rather not throw up here.
And all to save like $20 and get a shirt.
It's not necessarily just to save $20. It was to say that, hey, I was able to take this. I was able to ruck some fuds.
So I'm guessing with that in mind, you will not be competing in any hot dog eating contest where you have to dip the bread in water in order to be the next Joey Chestnut.
I mean, you don't have to. It's a technique.
If you want to succeed, you gotta.
I'm sure you can do it without dipping.
Can make a revolutionizer. You could expand the stomach or whatever other things you can do. But point is, at least you tried. That's commendable. You clearly learned a valuable lesson from it. Which, I mean,
and now I can't have Fuddruckers again because they just don't exist in California anymore. The closest one I think is in Vegas.
Would you go for it again? Do you think you can do it
Fuddruckers?
7 years later?
Fuddruckers is great.
Oh, would I do the challenge again? No, I absolutely not.
Yeah, that's like, would you do the challenge again?
No, it humbled me, dude. It was probably one of the most humbling experiences in my entire life.
Yeah, so it does remind me of just how Howland Race humbled 2 of our other friends when they tried Howland Plus and signed the waiver, and both almost seemed to be close to being needed to be taken to a hospital.
And Howland Race, for those outside LA, is our hot wing, like hot wing place here in LA.
It's not. It's hot. It's hot chicken. It's not hot wings.
Or hot chicken. Yeah. Thank
you.
Yeah.
Hot chicken sandwiches.
Hot chicken. Yeah.
The best, I might add.
I've never actually been.
To Howland Race? You've never been to Howland
Race?
Never
been. You guys all went.
Have you tried the spicy chicken from Carl's Jr.?
The spicy chicken from Carl's Jr. is pretty good. But that's a different type of sandwich. That's
I know. We're comparing like what was $1 versus it's like $13. Yeah, the chicken is really good at Howland Race.
I mean, I've gone to like in Nashville. I've gone to Hattie
and that's
B's,
amazing.
which is their hot chicken, and it all originates from Nashville.
Yeah, so. I think the owner of Howland Race worked under the person
of Hattie B's
that owns Hattie B's. Yeah.
Okay, so I've sort of been Howland adjacent, but yeah, you guys all went when I was flying back from a trip somewhere, and I just remember, I know I've told you guys the story many times, but I just remember like I got Wi-Fi on the airplane at one point, and just this wall of a group chat came in, like all these messages of you guys talking about how like, oh, we might have to go to the hospital, oh, like we had to pull over, oh, and I had no idea you guys even went or what was going on. It just sounded like our friends were dying, and I was like, what is happening? And I found out it was hot chicken. So that's my association. Whenever I hear Howland Race, that's what I think of.
Literally had to pull over at the nearest gas station, and they just got like some Starbucks cold brews, and they just like threw it at themselves, like into whatever orifices they could.
I went to this one place in Lakewood called Genki Yaki with a buddy just to try out their food, and we saw that they had this thing called the Death Taco, and it was like $3. And me and my buddy looked at each other. It was Montenegro. We looked at each other. It's like, why not? So we only got one.
I've heard this story.
Yeah, we only got one.
Him,
He ate half. I ate the other half. And what happened afterwards was the most painful experience that I've ever had in my entire life. We looked at each other in disbelief at just how terrible that heat was. They for all I know, they gave us what's that goddamn sauce on hot ones that everybody dies at?
The bomb.
It could have easily been the bomb.
Yeah, the bomb.
That was the reaction that me and Monte had. It was horrendous. I remember, like down the street there was a Baskin Robbins, and I remember telling him, "You drive to that Baskin Robbins right now." I couldn't even make it like a minute away of driving. I told him, just go into the gas station. Just go into the gas station. I need milk. I go into that gas station. I looked like a crackhead telling this poor attendant, I need this. I need this right now, man. Like, oh, it was terrible. And the next day I had to work the Grammys the next day. And, man, it was just a terrible experience overall.
Wow. Yeah, I can't do spicy. I can't do eating challenges. I do not envy the positions you put yourselves in with these sorts
I typically
of
don't do spicy either, but when it came to Howlin' Rays, I thought to myself, like, yeah, well, like, why not? Everybody's doing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that Howlin' sandwich was no joke. And I can only imagine what Howlin' Plus was. They didn't make us sign a waiver for Howlin'.
All I think of is we were all together for Angel's birthday, and some wings were ordered. And there were spicy wings and there were not spicy wings. And Rachel and I took some of what we thought were spicy wings and ate them. And we're like, oh, these are pretty good. And then someone on your side of the table was like, oh, can you pass us the spicy wings? So we passed what we were eating. And then you guys bench was like, these are the mild. But we were like in the corner kind of sweating already from the mild wings. So that's why I can't do spicy. So I'm as white as they come.
Yeah, they don't do spice in, where are you from again?
Like where my family from? Poland, technically, if you go far enough back.
God damn it! You know what it meant.
Montana, where I grew up. Montana. Yeah, they don't do spicy there either.
They don't do spice over
there. Nah, well, maybe, but I didn't go in that. Let me put it this way: Eastern Europeans and Jewish people, of which both my heritages are, really enjoy weird brown, bland food. Gefilte fish, matzo balls, latkes. I'm trying to think of stuff that's not the generic, but it's all like different shades of beige and brown. It's all like not the most flavorful and not the most spicy. So it's not my fault. Is what I'm trying to say. Not my fault. But you know what was hot? Oh wait, Angel, you're hosting. I shouldn't do transitions. I take it back.
Wow.
Hey, I caught myself. I caught myself.
All right. Well, like we mentioned at the top, it's E3 season, which I guess doesn't just always include video games. We've also had the Apple thing.
Yeah,
which is always around this time.
Yeah.
Isn't there one? Is this the one? I mean, clearly it wasn't the one where they announced the next phone, because that's every year still, or
it's every year. Yeah, this is the software one, WWDC, Worldwide Developers Conference, where they announce basically all the new software features for iOS, Mac OS, iPad OS, Vision OS, TV OS.
Question about the name. Worldwide Developers Conference. Isn't it strictly just
in San
Apple?
Francisco? Yes, but it's a world of Apple developers. Worldwide Apple developers.
So Apple developers worldwide.
It's the Apple Worldwide Developers Conference.
Well,
the thing I'm more hung up on about WWDC is I've learned from a friend who used to work at Apple, internally they call it dub, and that for some reason just rubs me the wrong way. There's nothing wrong with shortening WWDC to dub, but I don't know. It's just like a pet peeve thing. Like it's I don't know. Dub.
What's wrong
with it? I don't know. It sounds like a rubber duck in a bathtub. I don't know. It doesn't sound like a big tech thing. It sounds, I don't know. Something about dub rubs me the wrong way. No offense to the dub.
Clearly, you're the most invested in Apple. So what happened in this thing?
Oh, we want to kick off with Apple. Okay, we're saving the E3 for last. Okay. Yeah. So basically, this WWDC was like there are two like through lines that are going to impact basically how all devices are going forward, because Apple seems to really make these trends mainstream. One is your phone can look like a 2012 Android device if you want it to. They're introducing a lot more customization of the home screen. You can like tint your app icons. Yeah, no, on the one hand, it's great. You're able to really customize the placement of the icons. You're able to customize some of the coloring. You can have dark mode icons when you're in dark mode. You can have light mode icons when you're in dark mode. You can have dark mode icons when you're in light mode. Like, it's all this cool stuff. But they're introducing this interesting like color tint thing. So you can have all your icons sort of look uniform with whatever you want, a background, a contrasting color, and they do it by just overlaying a color with like a translucency of sorts on top of all the icons. And this is, early Android launchers did something similar, And they have a very, like if you think about like a 2012 Android device, they have a very distinct like customization look, quote unquote. And Apple's now getting that look. And on the one hand, if you have an eye for some of this and you can match up some cool photos with some cool colors or whatever, it can look really nice. And you can like frame them around what's in the photo. You can do them to the side, whatever. But looking at the subreddit of people using the iOS 18 beta, looking at Apple's own marketing material for some of this, my God, some of these are ugly. And I'm not saying like, oh, I have superior taste. I just mean like, I feel like this is something that if Steve Jobs was around, he'd be like, no, we will tell you what looks good. Because some of this does not look good. And you know what? That's your personal choice and more power to you that you can now make that choice.
I was going to say, like, at the end of the day, doesn't that not matter? Like, shouldn't people have the right to make their phone look as ugly as they
should.
want?
I'm just saying it's weird that like how I think the way Apple's implementing the tinting makes it worse because they're literally just like putting like, here, throw some red on top and make it 30% opacity. So like, different apps have like some contrast that are better than others. Like you can choose any color on the rainbow and just throw the tint on so it doesn't like, I don't know, they like grayscale the app icon, then they throw the color on top and it's just, it's weird. And it's not, again, you can make something really nice. You can make something really ugly. You can purposely make it ugly. You can, purposely make it nice. You can do whatever you want. It's cool that they give you this power and flexibility to now do it. And they're expanding this flexibility to let you customize your control center. You can have multiple pages of control center. You can move around widgets. You can have third-party apps, have buttons in control center.
But I guess it sounds like you've yet to see something that's like, whoa, that is inspired and amazing looking.
What? Yes. Yeah. No, ideally, someone's going to make something really cool and the tools allow this to happen, and it's great that these tools exist, but it's just like the wave of ugly that came out of it. And I know for sure some people are purposely making it look bad to make it go viral so they can have their little moment of engagement. But it's just, it's just so, it feels so un-Apple in a lot of ways, which was just kind of interesting to go through. But the real biggie, I think, with WWDC, and I think where some of this may trickle down into other, Microsoft's doing it too and Google's doing it, but it could trickle down to other platforms. They're already toying with how it can work in video games. AI integration. Having a virtual assistant that actually like understands what's going on your screen and can like actually piece together different bits of information for you. So in Apple's case, how they're doing it is they're revamping Siri, which you can now type to, which is great. Because I don't like talking to assistants, but I kind of like the shortcut of just being able to like type in Spotlight. So like the Spotlight search. So you can type to Siri and it will be able to collect and collate and do all sorts of stuff across your device. If you need your driver's license number, you can just say, what's my driver's license number? And it will go find it instantly in an old photo of yours where you took a photo of the driver's license and just bring you the number and it can insert it where you need it. Or like, when's mom landing at the airport, the example they gave, and it will know, well, her flight was this flight. Here's the flight tracker. She sent you that flight a week ago in a text, and they can say, okay, and what time was our dinner? And they'll go, oh, well, in that same text chain, you talked about dinner right after that. Was that something? And they'll like combine all that for you and just give you the answer. Google's Gemini does this, ChatGPT can kind of do this, but it's all baked in system level with iOS, and then anything Siri can't do, it explicitly gives you a question of, would you like ChatGPT to fill in this information, to answer your question? And you can kick it to ChatGPT, and the idea that Apple's sort of saying without saying is they're going to let you pick any number of different AI agents and kick it to them. So if you don't want ChatGPT, just like in Safari, you can set like Google as your search engine or Bing or DuckDuckGo. You'll be able ultimately to choose from whatever AI agent you like to kind of be the fallback for stuff Siri can't answer. And all the stuff that Siri does directly is like super privacy conscious. It's all on device. When it's not on device, if it's something more complicated, they kick it to a private, they call it like private cloud compute or something, but basically they took all the like innards of their chipset, like the M chips that are on your phone and stuff, and they replicated them on servers that will process your request and kick it back but not store anything. So it's as if you're basically have like a secondary cloud device that will process your AI request without actually knowing what you're asking about and then send it right back and then kind of erase it on their end and be sort of encrypted and locked in on their end. They can't even see what you're doing. They can't give it to law enforcement. So, that's kind of a cool thing that a lot of the other AI doesn't do. But I was saying with like gaming, I think when Apple does something like this, like they're always a little later to the game, but they kind of make it more mainstream. And even one of the taglines they're using for their AI, first of all, they're calling it Apple Intelligence, which is funny because of course they have to rebrand it. It can't be AI as in artificial intelligence. It's Apple Intelligence. But one of the things they said in some of the videos is AI for the rest of us. So they're kind of angling it as like, well, here's how AI can be used in day-to-day life in like a way that actually makes sense to you. Besides all the like, you know, it can help you write, it can help summarize, it can prioritize notifications about what's important. Like here's all these little things it can do for you that are like actually day-to-day life stuff. And once people get used to having day-to-day life stuff with AI, that's going to start going into other industries and other devices. Case in point, NVIDIA was showing off recently, I think it was NVIDIA, an AI assistant as you're gaming. So they showed an example where you're playing Minecraft and you're like, how do I craft blah, blah, blah. And it will see what's in your inventory. It will see it will look up what you need to do. And it'll say, oh, you need like 4 more of this type of wood or that type of thing. And then you can craft it. Like having basically a strategy guide that's just an AI assistant at the ready when you need it is kind of a cool gaming outcome of the big AI push that Apple's doing with like your productivity on your device for you. So it'll be interesting, like kind of where AI goes. I don't buy into a lot of the like, personally, I think like the generative image, like they're doing generative emojis, so you can make a custom emoji using the art style of regular emoji. Cool. That's kind of fun. But they have this thing called Image Playground where it's just like make these images of like, I want my mom to be a superhero, and it like generates it, and it's weird. And that one I don't know. But
so
like,
a lot of Bidoof for you, basically.
What?
So lots of Bidoofs.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to try and make a million Bidoof emoji. But in all sorts of poses. He's standing up. He's sitting down. He's sleeping. He's awake. He's excited. He's sad. No, but I think like some of the AI stuff that's not just like generate a thing or write me a thing, but it's kind of like an actual like what Siri was supposed to be when it was announced in 2011 or 12. Like that, to me, actually has some interesting potential and could apply across all sorts of things that we consume. You know, I mean, even like your streaming services, you know, how often do you not know you're just like scrolling through Netflix and Amazon and Hulu and you don't know what to watch? If you could just be like, hey, I'm in the mood for like.
Wait, that happens to people?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. The choice process. That's why I forgot what they call it.
I literally only turn on a streaming service of any kind if I need to watch something.
No, some people just want to like look for something, or like that's why those fast services, like the free ad supported television. You know, like Tubi and all
Netflix
those.
had a shuffle button, and I was like, what?
What?
But I guess that's what it's for, right? The shuffle button on Netflix?
Yeah, that's kind of the same idea. But yeah, that's why like Tubi and those services are taking off and blowing up and have more monthly viewers than a lot of the paid streaming services because people don't have to like think about what to watch. Just throw something on and it just, you know, plays.
Oh, we've gone full circle.
But yeah, but to kind of, for the streaming services, obviously they also want people to like consume their exclusive content that they're paying for. So if they had an AI assistant where it's like, hey, I want like a lighthearted comedy with above a 90% Rotten Tomato, it can just like deliver you and then you just go. Like that'd be kind of nice instead of having to like sit there and go through 20, 30, 40 box arts, you know, poster covers and be like, not that one. Okay, maybe that one. No, not that one. So I think what Apple's doing with the AI, like, could lead to some cool stuff across all sorts of things we do. But they need to sort of warm people up to it. And to be fair, Samsung and Google have already warmed people up a little, but all their stuff is like edit your photo, write an email faster. Like I think some of how Apple's angling what they're doing, even if it's not actually new things that no one else has tried, is going to help push that. So that's what I'm kind of curious to see. But those are my WWDC thoughts. I don't know if you guys... Oh, and if you have a current iPhone, it only works with the 15 Pro and up. The new AI stuff. So
damn, just missed it. Well, I guess not just. I mean, I have a 14 Pro, I believe.
I unintentionally future-proofed because I have a 15 Pro. So,
I mean, 13 Pro. I mean, the 16 is coming out this year, I'm guessing.
Yes, and that will support
like a 15C Pro or something.
What? Yeah, they'll probably do a 16 and 16 Pro. And
they don't do half steps anymore.
Well, they don't name them half steps anymore now, but they still do half steps in concept. Yeah, like I guarantee this one's hardware will be not a huge change, and it'll all be hype about like they'll probably change the finish of the rim of the phone, like it was shiny last year or it was matte last year. Now it's shiny.
Ooh, maybe wacky colors.
Yeah, they'll have new colors. They'll have a new for the Pro. They'll have a new like hue that isn't gold, silver, or black. Some shade of purple or green or something. But yeah, I think the AI stuff is going to be the big marketing push with the 16s because the entire 16 line in theory would support AI. So if you want AI, gotta get a 16 or I guess a 15 Pro. That's probably how they'll market it. So.
Meanwhile, the Humane and R1 are like, well, that was fun.
Yeah, like you have a Rabbit R1. So what's your as someone who's had an AI assistant that's kind of halfway there, what do you make of that?
You bought a rabbit?
So Summer Game Fest also happened this week,
That's a glowing endorsement.
And yeah, so I mean, what happened to Summer Game? I mean, that's the Jeff Keighley one, right?
Wait.
Jeff
Is
Keighley,
that really
yeah.
how poorly you like your rabbit?
Jeff Keighley. Yeah, Jeff Keighley and Summer Game Fest. IGN Live. Wait, is that the same thing? Are they?
No, they're like two sides of a similar coin.
Well, please elaborate.
Wait, you don't want? Can we not go back to your rabbit for a minute?
We're on Summer Game Fest. I'm the one driving this car. I just
okay.
Yeah. Even disgruntled George is in agreement.
Yeah, he's not. He doesn't sound very disgruntled at all. He's dead silent.
Yeah, I guess that just speaks to the rabbit, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think he the less he said, the more he said. Yeah.
I think he's gonna buy a humane AI pin.
How many of those did they even sell? Didn't they sell under 1,000?
I mean, if you really want me to give impressions at some point, I can, but I just don't really have anything to give because I haven't really used it. I just haven't had time.
Oh, okay.
I really just turned it on and took pictures of it, not realizing that it was already generating AI pictures based on what I took, which was really cool. But other than that, I mean, I only ever got it because it was orange and it seemed like it could be a neat toy.
So are you buying it? So yeah.
Summer Game Fest.
Wait, so you buy it more as a toy? Do either of you buy into the whole AI revolution that we seem to be on the cusp of, or does it seem like a bubble that's kind of overhyped to you? I'm somewhere in the middle myself.
I don't know. I honestly don't really have
any thoughts whatsoever.
I don't know. Yeah, AI, at least right now, to me, just seems like I don't know. It seems this smarter search that's just condensing what's already out there. Obviously, I mean, you could say that's kind of what it is doing right now.
Yeah, no, 100%.
It's just smarter. It's just smarter Google search. So it's just yeah, that's what we're seeing right now. I like that I can Google, or if anything, the coolest thing that has happened when I initially got the rabbit, before I even got the rabbit, was that they gave me a free year subscription to Perplexity, basically just like some other AI client thing. And that's been pretty fun, just messing with it. Give me a diet for this week that's, this cost, or blah, 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 or give me a workout that lasts this long, that doesn't require weights, that targets these muscles, and it'll generate it. It's been cool for stuff like that, instead of having to, dig through sites to have to figure that out manually. So that's been fun. If I can eventually do that on my phone, great. I'm sure I could ask that to the rabbit, and that'll be fine. But, kind of like the whatchamacallit, the Playdate. I mean, I bought that mainly because I thought the design was fun.
Same
I played
designers.
it for a little while.
Same designers.
Didn't really use it. Exactly, yeah. Didn't really use it, and then I ended up just selling it. Well, I mean, I might just keep this one just because it's orange, and maybe it'll be fun once in a while, but I don't know. If
that's fair.
Apple, if I end up getting a newer phone at some point, I'm sure it's just going to end up replacing it. And if someone does figure out any kind of thing I could do with it, even if it's just recording notes, then sure.
Oh, well, the iPhone AI stuff will record notes and transcribe them in real time. And phone calls.
I mean, well,
yeah,
it's just there. It's
yeah.
So far, I will say I do really like that. The thing I mentioned where it's just taking pictures and it'll generate I guess we'll call it a 32-bit, maybe. It's almost like a
Game Boy camera,
a modern pixelated AI generated interpretation of what I took a picture of. So I took a picture of a little time wizard. It's a little character from Yu-Gi-Oh! That's a clock with a face, and it's dressed in wizard garb. It has a staff with a dial on it and a cape. Took a picture of that, and it generated a different take on a time wizard. It gave it a giant head and more staffs, and I don't know, it was just kind of crazy. Or I took a picture of my desk, and I have some little posable figurines on my desk that are more for drawing reference, and for some reason it decided to generate a mini army of little mannequins all over my desk. But so they're really cool. They seem like fun little pockets of like, just to find maybe some inspiration or just to look at. But yeah.
It kind of, that kind of reminds me of like how Nintendo would cram into the 3DS like AR cards or like face raiders, and it's like, whoa, look at this tech.
That's
and
kind of what it feels like.
It
Kind of feels like if Nintendo just made like a random offshoot little device. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because that and Playdate, same hardware developers, but from what I understand with Rabbit, it's like it has some personality. Like it has a little face on the screen, and like it seems very Nintendo-y in a lot of ways. Yeah.
I mean, they definitely pitched it in a very interesting way in that first keynote where they're like, oh yeah, you could have it plan a whole trip for you. But, stuff that most AI systems will probably most likely be able to do now.
Yeah.
But, they have promises of their large language models and how you could, train it to buy you tickets and stuff. But, I guess it's just like going to be a smarter version of a bot, which, those already exist, but I guess ideally you would have it do more complicated tasks, but yeah, it's there.
It's there. Where are you stand with all this AI stuff, Ken? Do you think there's potential here? Do you think it's overhyped?
I think it is here to stay, and yeah.
Take it or leave it, it's here to stay. Yeah, no, that's there. Yeah. I mean, honestly, until I started thinking about like how Apple was kind of turning the AI they're using into like personal search versus just like what ChatGPT does, which is just like search, to Angel's point. That's when I started being like, okay, actually, maybe this is kind of what Siri's promise was way back when, like I was saying before. So that's where I started to weirdly, like after like after the keynote calmed down, like after like a day or two later, I was like, actually there's something here. Like this could actually be kind of cool. So now I'm very curious to play with it. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what it turns into. Okay, Disgruntled George, you want to talk about Summer Game Fest? I know Angel did.
Yeah, so Summer Game Fest happened.
Did anyone watch it?
That's where they showed off Assassin's Creed Japan?
That might have been the Xbox showcase. They showed it like everywhere. It was at Summer Game Fest, I think. It was at Xbox Showcase. It was at IGN Live.
Lego
it was
Horizon?
at Ubisoft Forward. Yes, that's where they debuted Lego Horizon Adventure. Yes, it was Summer Game Fest. But you did ask about IGN Live versus Summer Game Fest, didn't you? Like, you seen before I made you talk about the rabbit. What do you want to know?
What is it? Is it just like their sideshow, like how EA used to do their side thing?
Kind of. So it's two sides of the same coin. So basically, everyone's scrambling to fill the hole of E3 in various ways, right? Like, I mean, we were saying at the top, it's E3 season. It's not E3 season. It's that June season of game announcement season. Like, E3 itself is gone. But there does seem to be some pining and demand for, like, something where people can direct their gaze and their attention towards a centralized place where the companies still get to have their own moment but kind of share the spotlight to ensure they have a bigger audience. So Summer Game Fest is like the presentation side of it, and then they have the media side of it as well, where they have like 3 or 4 days of play days, which are out in like the Arts District in LA. They take over like a compound of buildings and like set up demo booths and everything. It's like a super chilled out E3. Like some companies pour some money in and put decorations, but from what I've seen in videos and stuff, it's just like rent a cabana to showcase your game, or like, we'll serve you some coffee and we'll have some drinks there, Super Monkey Ball themed to promote Banana Rumble in a couple weeks. Like it's that sort of vibe, not like bombastic, we're going to bring in like Vin Diesel to like show off a Fast and Furious car in the middle of our booth because we're also making games about cars. Like it's not that scale. It's more chill. So that's what like Summer Game Fest tries to do, is like the media, hands-on, and presentation side. And then IGN Live or IGN saw an opportunity to do like the fan-facing side, like the like public fan engagement, kind of mini PAX-ish sort of thing. So what they did, and this is the first year they've done something like this since way back in 2005 when they tried a version of IGN Live not associated with E3 time. They took over an event space in downtown LA, and for I think 3 days they had basically a scheduled out stage show. So basically all the stuff they would do at the IGN booth during E3, if you ever watched their live coverage, where they bring on developers and do interviews, or like executives, or they do like live podcasts, or they do bits and bobs that tie into various media franchises or whatever. They basically built a mini fan convention around that stage show. So I went to IGN Live because I was kind of interested in, one, just kind of seeing what it was like, but also mainly Tetris. For the 4th anniversary of Tetris, they actually brought the creator of Tetris and Hank Rogers, who's the guy that sort of shepherded getting Tetris out of Russia and onto the Game Boy. They did a panel with them.
Dude from the movie?
Yes, the dudes from the movie, except the real dudes. So they were doing
Whoa.
like, it's a 4th
I haven't seen the movie yet, but it looks interesting.
I thought they brought Terry Edgerton on them.
Yeah, no, they didn't bring Terry Edgerton himself. No, but they brought the guy that inspired the character.
But you would recommend that movie, right?
I did enjoy that movie. It gets a little over the top, but it's fun.
You talked about it in this show.
I did. It was in the stretch of Nintendo fandom craziness because it came out like 2 weeks before the Mario movie, which was like 4 weeks after Nintendo World opened. So I was I was beside myself with Nintendo fandom hype. But anyway, yeah. So they had like that's why I went to. What was that?
No, I just said that's one way of putting it.
Yes, indeed. But yeah, so I went to IGN Live because of the Tetris thing. It's 4th anniversary. Well, they built it as a panel. It was like a 15-minute interview. I thought it would be like on a stage. What they did, which was actually kind of cool, is they set up some chairs in front of, like, they had a retro arcade in the back corner of IGN Live, and they like had a Tetris machine. They set up some chairs in front of that. So I just kind of went there a little earlier, and I ended up being like front row of like 3 rows of people, and the rest just had to stand. And like the guys were like, 4 or 5 feet in front of me, and it was kind of cool. But it was a very brief interview, which was kind of surprising. But anyway, so that was like one of the things they did. They had Phil Spencer a different day talk about Xbox, that sort of thing. But yeah, they like built this whole little thing. It was mostly the stage show, and then they had a separate room that had a bunch of game demos. So you could play like a lot of indie stuff they had on like Steam Decks. They had Little K Big City. They had Another Crab's Treasure. They had Playdate demos, which was kind of cool. You could sample like 5 or 6 different Playdate games. And again, kind of like Summer Game Fest and not like E3, it wasn't like bombastic over the top booths with like so much glitz and glam. Like there were a couple photo ops. They brought Overwatch did a collab with Porsche recently for like a character design or something. So they had like a statue of that. They had a Elden Ring statue. They had a couple of things like that, but mostly it was just like Steam Deck sitting on tables, and you just go up and you play them, or you go to a retro arcade and you hang out, or you go watch the stage show, or go see them interview the lead guy from Sonic Team, or what have you. And it was just kind of chill. Like I think it was $25 for the day, like little mini gaming event thing. So that kind of was IGN's attempt to fill that void that E3 left behind. And it's all these different little like pockets of, Nintendo does their Tuesday. They just did it today as this recording, their Nintendo Direct. Kept it on a Tuesday like they would for E3, but not associated with anything. So it's just a random Tuesday in June now. So it's like all the like puzzle pieces of E3 are kind of getting shuffled around and put together in different ways. And I think they're still trying to figure out like what's the best path forward. But yeah, Summer Game Fest was the chance for media to go hands-on with embargo. Like a bunch of media went hands-on with games that were only announced in the Direct today, like a week ago at Summer Game Fest. And then the little fan stuff is like IGN Live and that sort of thing. So that's the answer to that question. But who watched Summer Game Fest among us? I did.
Among Us was in there?
The Jeff Keighley presentation. And Among Us was in there, yes.
Did I don't remember. I watched it. I don't remember if I watched it live.
I will say it wasn't the most bombastic one of them. So if you don't remember, it's probably because it didn't move mountains, which isn't Jeff Keighley's fault or production's fault at all. There's, whatever the studios can present is what they'll show. But from what you recall, Kevin, what'd you think of it?
The fact that I can't remember anything just tells me how much.
Says exactly the point. Yeah. I feel like they still have a few kinks to work out in terms of like pacing. The first hour,
I just don't remember any of the games being memorable that much. I remember it started with No, I'm thinking about the Xbox showcase. Never mind. I do not remember Summer Games Fest at all.
Oh, well, okay. But no, I was going to say, I do think the first hour was more memorable than the second. I feel
Couldn't tell you. Like, that's how bad.
Yeah, and again, it's not necessarily Jeff's fault, because like it's only what the companies will give him to present. But it is a lull year in many ways. Even the Xbox showcase, where there's like 30 games, and they really brought out some big guns. A lot of those big guns are 2025. Nintendo with their Direct today, or yesterday when people listen to this, they had, the big gun, Metroid Prime 4, 2025. the stuff we're getting this year is still really cool, but they're definitely like smaller versions of something. You know, a Mario Party, a 2D Zelda. Like it's lower stakes for the whole industry for 2024. It feels like
sounds like
games.
You're trying to jump on the Nintendo Direct one already.
No. I was just giving an example, but I do think Summer Game. I think they could have paced it a little better. I think they kind of front loaded it a bit. Now maybe I'm biased because it was front loaded with Switch stuff. The thing I was most surprised about by it was how many times that Switch logo popped up. Like, actually, in general, these last few weeks, I was pleasantly surprised from Summer Game Fest through the Direct. There is more third-party stuff happening on Switch than I would have guessed at this stage in its life. Summer Game Fest had like close to, I think, a dozen games for Switch, and some of them actually were kind of interesting. I mean, you mentioned it, Angel, a minute ago. Lego Horizon Adventures, a PlayStation-published franchise, a PlayStation IP is coming to Switch. That's what they opened Summer Game Fest with, and that was kind of interesting. Other time they've done that is, MLB The Show, and that's because MLB mandated that they bring it to all platforms. So I was kind of surprised by that. I thought, the fact that we're still – I know it did well on Switch, but the fact that they're still planning to do like the next Civilization game, like Civ 7's coming to Switch, that was kind of – unexpected. There's a big, I say what you will about it, but there is a very, Hogwarts Legacy was the biggest game last year, and it's on Switch, and now they're doing a Harry Potter Quidditch game, and it's also going to be on Switch in September. Like, there's like some heavy hitters in terms of different genres, different sales potential that are still coming to Switch, which I was not expecting out of Summer Game Fest. I thought we'd see it like once or twice. It was there like I said, probably like a dozen times. So that was my big takeaway from Summer Game Fest. It wasn't the most exciting of games, but Switch had a notable presence, which was, as a Switch-only gamer, a pleasant surprise. What did you think of Xbox, though, Kevin? You said sorry, what were you going to say?
I said, which is pretty cool. I mean, definitely feels like there was at least some things someone was happy about for any of these like showcases. I mean, even from Summer Game Fest. But
yeah, I think that there's a variety and breadth to. I mean, and Jeff Keighley, you could tell it was a lighter year for games because he kept making a point of like, look at these indie games and look at these games made by one guy. And I understand for him, in part, that's to show the variety of the industry. And he was trying to sort of get on a soapbox about, well, listen, layoffs are bad, but they're allowing all these indie games to grow. Is like trying to spin it into a positive, which I don't know how that. Anyway,
no matter what Jason says, I think if he wasn't playing or if he didn't own Nintendo consoles, he definitely would have an Xbox. So, let's jump to Xbox Showcase, which apparently, Kevin, you actually enjoyed. I mean, I'm not on X anymore, but I heard through the rumor mill that it tickled your pickle.
Yeah, this was easily the best Xbox Showcase that in my opinion, that they've ever done.
It was strong.
A lot of the games on that thing spoke to me. Perfect.
Is that a high bar? Like, what's a metric that you can say that would make you go like, oh, okay, damn, that good?
There was a Sony press conference. I think it was 2016. The one that re-revealed Final Fantasy 16. The one that revealed Kingdom Hearts 3. The one that re-revealed what's that goddamn game?
The Last Guardian.
The Last Guardian.
Yeah, the one that felt like a fanfic. Yeah, that one. Yeah,
that one. I think this one topped that showcase.
I will echo. As someone that's not super Xbox oriented, I will echo. That was the pacing was on point. The variety of games, the franchises, the fact that they did a big drop of like, look, it's finally Perfect Dark, which looked really great. And that was in the middle of the show. Like they were just boom, boom, boom. Like they just kept. It was a really diverse and interesting lineup of games.
Like not only that, but just the quality of like what they were showing. Like I got excited for a Call of Duty game for the first time in forever. I don't remember the last time I gave a crap about a Call of Duty game.
I've heard a lot of good buzz about Black Ops 6. Surprisingly,
that trailer was fantastic.
Yeah, it was really well edited. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They used a Prodigy song, which
Firestarter, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed that too. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Which makes sense because it's in the 90s now, and that's, Prodigy's bread and butter, their era.
I don't like the Black Ops series that much, but like their trailers usually have like really good songs. They use the Blue Orchid, not Blue Orchid. Crap, I forgot the name.
Blue Oyster Cult?
No, not Blue Oyster Cult. They oh my god, I'm blanking on it, on the band.
Blue October, is that a song?
New Order, Blue October by New Order.
Oh, I dig it. Okay,
Was it Blue October? Was it Blue October? I think you're right. It was Blue October. Blue Monday by
there we go. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that song. And the Black Ops Cold War trailer used that song to really good effect.
I mean, if we want to talk about good use of songs, I really like the call. I know it's like nostalgia bait, but I really liked the little callback to Mad World in the Gears of War E-Day trailer.
That trailer was fantastic too.
It was so good. And the little like flurries of the bits of Mad World, and like people forget that commercial for Gears of War with Mad World in like 2006 was what kind of kicked off the whole like advertising
The
thing
main character from Mad World is the dude from Gears?
No. The song Mad World by Tears of Fear was used in a Gears of War commercial in 2006. And it was this violent commercial with enemy swarms and like, he's gunning and there's violence.
So it has nothing to do
intense, but they
with
said it, not Mr. Chainsaw Guy from Mad World, the game, no. But they said it to Mad World.
I officially went from, that's cool too, you lost me. Sorry.
I'm sorry. But yeah, no, that Mad World
the main character from Mad World was the main character from Gears?
No, I think
I didn't until like Jason just mentioned the Mad World references, and I'm not like, wait, well, I guess it kind of has the same build. I guess it could be him.
Yeah, I was gonna say they could be long lost cousins. They got that same shoulder heft. Like
they both use a chainsaw of some sort.
They're both kind of squat. Yeah. But no, the Mad World, the use of the song like back in 2006, like that kind of started what I think people have jokingly started calling sadvertising. Where you do like these super serious, violent moments, but set to like really soft and piano driven music and all that. Like that, Gears of War started that. So it's kind of like Microsoft was like, hey, remember this? That was us. So it's kind of a cool little callback in of itself.
Just a bunch of games on that showcase that were really, really impressive looking.
Yeah. I think it really went...
Like I said, easily their best.
I think it went a long way towards giving momentum that Xbox like kind of desperately needed. With everything going on about what's going third party, what's not, why are they not delivering on, the promise of as many games as they said. And granted, half the games in the showcase still aren't coming this year, but they gave a stacked for varied lineup of games for the next few months. They put their best foot forward. They didn't address if any are going to be on other platforms. They don't need to. They probably will. There's this whole Project Latitude thing where they're going to be bringing a lot over. But the point was, if you want this variety of games, as you see it right now in this presentation, Xbox is where you go to do it. And it's been a long time since I feel like they've had that simple and concrete of a message with that many good-looking games to back said message, Like they've been it's been a losing PR war for them the last, 6 months to a year, if not longer. So it feels like they got a little bit of their groove back that they kind of needed. I don't know if it'll be enough to like turn the tide, but it's like when the Nintendo was in the doldrums of the Wii U, and then once the Blue Moon, they like hit out of the park with a presentation. Like I still remember that Nintendo Direct where it was like Wind Waker HD and a handful of other games that just came out of nowhere. It's like the third week of January. It's just like this stack of games. You're just like, oh, whoa, okay, maybe there's hope here. That's kind of how I felt for the Xbox crowd after watching that presentation. So I'm glad they were able to kind of right the ship. And I bet you some will come over. Even stuff like they revived Age of Empires, which was like, that's a franchise I haven't heard in a long time. And I could easily see that in the same way Civ 7's kind of switch. I could see an Age of Empires being brought to competing platforms or like a Switch 2 or something. Like it's it makes sense to do it, and it'd be cool. And it's nice to see them using some of their old Microsoft IPs, not ones that were purchased just last year or 2 years ago with Activision. So yeah, they found a good rhythm to it all, I thought.
Yeah. Well, I guess that leads us to the third one. Usually always the last one, right?
It's usually the last, but usually by like 36 hours, not by like a week and change. But yes, the Nintendo Direct. Is that what you're going to say?
Yeah. So that happened today. It feels like forever ago, honestly.
It was so early in the morning.
I guess it was at 7 a.m.
It has, but yeah, exactly. I haven't gotten up that early in a long time.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
That definitely wasn't. I wouldn't consider that super early, but I guess definitely early for the general.
For the Jason,
populace.
At least. Yeah. I mean, I usually wake up at like 8:30. So anyway.
But I mean, like I would say like a good start with a Martin Luigi. I mean, it's not Alpha Dream, but I can hope maybe some of the original developers are still on it. I mean, just because the company went bankrupt doesn't mean they didn't
They
save
haven't announced who's developing
some of them,
right?
No, so Nintendo's doing this really weird thing lately, and I don't really like it, where they don't seem to want to recognize developers. Like, they did this with Princess Peach Showtime. They did this with even, like, the new Mario voice actor. It's kind of like, you'll see it in the credits, but as far as you're concerned, Nintendo made this. It's a Nintendo product. And I feel like that really kind of shortchanges the credit to, the actual dev teams. But yeah, they haven't said who's doing it. I saw a report that a bunch of the Alpha Dream developers went to Monolith Soft, which Nintendo owns. They do Xenoblade. Maybe Xenoblade has a hand in Mario and Luigi Brothership. I'm not sure. But yeah, they haven't actually said, which is an annoying MO of theirs now.
I guess overall, though, interesting to finally see them take the full leap to 3D. We've kind of seen them touch on it a couple times in those, full dual screen battles in Dream Team that were in 3D, literally 3D.
But there's levels to the 3D here. I think the art style they're going with for this iteration of taking it to 3D is leagues above what they did on the 3DS and DS. I really love how the game is basically the key promo art from the original, with the kind of I don't know how to describe it. All that art had this weird shadow effect kind of on it. It had a purpley haze on the edges of the characters and stuff. That's in here. This is literally that art from 2002 fully brought to life. And it's really cool that they and granted they used that art style for multiple sequels as well. But it's really cool that the promo art is now the actual in-game art. And it took them a long time to get there. But I really think it looks really slick as a result.
I'm looking at images of the giant battles from Dream Team, and they actually look better than what I remembered.
It's not bad. It just doesn't have personality in the way that the current art does.
Really? I don't know. I would almost argue this looks better. But, have you seen them lately?
Let me pull it up.
Did you go back and actually look at them?
Dream Team?
The image I'm seeing of, Luigi about to hit Bowser, is literally, the art from the game, but in 3D. Obviously a little way less resolution because of the 3DS, but it's there. It honestly
but it doesn't have the shading. That's what I'm talking about. You're right. The proportions and stuff are mirroring it, but there's something with the cell shading and that purple shadow thing they did for this one that just feels right at home picture. With what the key art always. No, I'm looking at the same one. It's the giant Luigi, right? Yellow background.
No, I'm talking about the one with the purple background.
Oh, then I don't know. Hey, to each their own, but I was just really...
God damn. That looks really cool. At least that Luigi.
I'm pulling it up. Let's see.
It's in the other chat. But, regardless.
I see your point.
This game
I see your
fine.
point. It's a resolution thing. Yeah, I see your point. That looks not like the... Is that the game? Or is that art? What is that? Is that a cutscene? Is that in-game?
You're flipping... That's in-game. You're flipping the 3DS sideways.
Huh. Okay. Well, nonetheless, I really like how this one
looks. But that's
too.
obviously towards the end of the game. But they both look great. The games always look great. They had great 2D art. I would argue, went back a step when they tried to remake them a little bit. It definitely lost a little bit of the...
That's what I was referring to, is when they did
the sprites had.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about, is when they did the remakes on the 3DS and they just 3D-ified it. That's what I thought you were talking about, actually. Yeah, that
I'm not talking about the remakes. I'm talking about, Dream Team, because that wasn't a remake. That was
that's
original.
fair. Yeah, I was thinking of the remakes when I said it, yeah.
Oh, no, yeah.
That's why I was so perplexed by what you were talking about. I'm like, wait, what? Yeah. I meant the most recent releases that were all remakes kind of just 3D-ified the sprites, and it was kind of ho-hum. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that feels like how I feel Super Mario Party makes me feel about the Mario Party brand in general. But anyway, we'll see how it goes. It's called Brothership, which is kind of weird. I don't know.
It's a pun. We know nothing. They're on a sailing adventure, so it's like a brotherhood, but it's a brothership because they're on a ship.
Yeah.
Ship. Fun fact about the title.
I don't know why. I'm getting. Obviously, I'm basing off of nothing, but just based on what we saw and the title, I feel like I'm getting less wackiness than we normally get from these. But you know,
what I'm picking up on. Well, first, fun fact
I'm
about
just keeping expectations tempered for this game. Just looking forward to it.
What I'm picking up on is there's got to be some interplay of water and electricity, because all the characters that they seem to come across have like plugs on them, and meanwhile everything's also very water heavy and boat heavy. So I don't know what that means in terms of wackiness or what, but it does seem like the themes are like how water and electricity do or don't mix in some way. We'll see though. But I did want to say fun fact, because we were talking about the title. The Super Mario Broth Twitter account, which posts like weird obscure trivia about Mario games and like weird like hacks of Mario games and weird like things in the code of Mario games, pointed out this is the first Mario game in Mario history that spells out the word brothers. All the others are bros, but because of the Brothership pun, they actually spell out the full word.
Wow.
Yeah, little tidbit if you ever on Jeopardy.
Like in the title, right? Not like in like the instruction booklet or something.
No, yeah, like in the title, like the game's title. Every other Mario game that says brothers is BROS period. This one actually spells it out. Well,
gotcha.
So if you're ever on Jeopardy and you're like, "What's that one Mario game?" Or you can say, "What is?"
Well, no,
Luigi Brothership.
You can't forget the game Mario and Wario Brothers from Other Mothers, but yeah,
that doesn't sound good. Nintendo would never make a game called that. But
I mean that was obviously one of the highlights. I mean, I only really had one other big highlight for myself. I'll just call it out now, just because I think it's the only major thing I wanted to talk about. But I was waiting for something Rhythm Heaven related. Did not get anything Rhythm Heaven related. Usually it's delegated to the end of a console cycle, it seems like. But we didn't get it. Hopefully, I still hold out hope we'll get something. But we did get another Ace Attorney collection, which is awesome. And this one brings us the spin-off Ace Attorney Investigations starring Miles Edgeworth. And it has both games. The second of which we never got here in the US. We only ever got the first one. And that is really, really exciting for our brother and I, and like the other 10 Ace Attorney fans, which actually I take that back. It's definitely not just 10 anymore. Clearly, the franchise has grown that they've bothered with all of these remakes and ports. But the fact that you can play every single game in the entire franchise on the Switch is
pretty cool.
It makes me super happy. And the fact that I've already mentioned before that these collections are just perfect. Not only did they have music across the franchise, they have art. You could look at every single piece of animation isolated by itself. You could use the animation itself with green screens and black. It's crazy. It comes with all the DLC. This one obviously bringing that long lost chapter that we just haven't had forever. I mean, I have it somewhere in my collection, but it's in Japanese. I'm not quite there yet to play it. But that was super awesome. That made me really happy. And one of the few, I guess, physical games that I've been buying on the Switch, because between the Great Ace Attorney, which also, those were also for the longest time not on the US because they were more Japan centric, and they argued they were going to be harder to localize, but they did it. They figured it out, and they figured it out with this one. So kudos, Capcom. You are amazing right now. Capcom is awesome.
In defense of you Ace Attorney fans, the series has sold millions of copies now. It's actually a pretty big series, so it makes sense they're putting in the effort. And yes, Capcom is awesome, because one thing I noticed in the Direct, they are the ones putting a lot of effort into their ports. Not only are they localizing Investigations 2, they have that Marvel vs. Capcom collection coming to all consoles. It was announced for Switch, and it includes all of them, including the Dreamcast ones.
Which I didn't realize just how big of a deal it was until I watched some other videos after by people that I follow in the fighting game community.
People lost their minds when this was Yeah,
because I guess this is kind of like a signifier that whatever tiff they had with rights and stuff is finally resolved, because they couldn't re-release those for the longest time. A lot of those games and Marvel vs. Capcom 3 were removed from the online stores, and there was also the harsh limitations they were forced to work with for Marvel vs. Capcom Infinity. And presumably, depending on how this does, but at the very least, it shows that there was, a lot of a vocal majority that they still really care about this franchise. And hopefully, we could get a Marvel vs. Capcom 4. I mean, I literally bought 3 because Ace Phoenix Wright was playable in it. Like, that felt like that game gave me as big of a, at least like a emotional, like, damn, like, this is, it's like another Smash Brothers, but for Capcom. Like, the amount of love and attention every single character got, like, it made me love Nemesis. Like, I would argue Marvel vs. Capcom 3 specifically had a hand in me giving the Resident Evil characters more attention, which in turn made me curious about their games, which, led me to becoming a very big Resident Evil fan now. And, just seeing Phoenix Wright there was, especially that reveal trailer, was attuned to, seeing like Banjo or Ridley or what have you in Smash Brothers. So if they do another one, really excited to see what they come up with. And yeah, Capcom. I don't remember what else they had besides those 2 things, but
I mean, Capcom per se didn't, I don't think, but I did think in general, like, it was kind of nice. And I was saying this at Summer Game Fest, it did seem kind of nice that, like, the Capcom being, at the forefront and localizing Ace Attorney investigations too, but a lot of their parties, even though we're getting kind of smaller scale stuff, are putting in effort. Like, we're still getting kind of the Switch, like, I can play this now on the go or at home that I couldn't before, like with Marvel vs. Capcom. But, like, Dragon Quest, the whole, like, HD 2D remakes they're doing of Dragon Quest 1, 2, and 3, like, that's some effort being put into there. It was nice to see, like, even if it's not most exciting things, like that Looney Tunes sports game, which is actually kind of, I think, a weird nostalgia play of sorts, because if I remember correctly, like around the Space Jam time of the 90s, there were actually multiple Looney Tunes sports games on multiple, like, Super Nintendo, Genesis. So that's kind of an interesting little callback. Who knows if it'll be good or not, but that's kind of an interesting callback. And like a lot of the stuff we saw from third parties just like is kind of like, Stray is coming to Switch. I'm excited about that. Dempamen's
really
coming back
curious,
from the DS era.
Really
Yeah.
curious
You're
how
having
Stray is
quite
going
the
to
cat
perform.
renaissance.
Because that game
Yeah, I mean,
did
it
not
definitely
perform
took
well.
it definitely had a
Other-
visual downgrade. Very obvious visual downgrades. I'm hoping they downgrade it enough to get the performance steady. Yeah. That'll be interesting to see. But yeah, I mean, that was one I was always kind of like, every so often there's a game like I was saying this about Astrobot last episode. Every so often there's a game I kind of look at the other consoles like, oh, why is that outside my Nintendo bubble? And Stray was one of them. So the fact that it's coming, fingers crossed that performs decently. Yeah. But yeah, there's just like, and there's like a ton of RPGs from third party. Like Switch is really like its final years here. It's like really carving itself out as like the go-to for smaller scale RPGs that still maybe have hundreds of hours. I mean, I haven't heard the name Phantom Brave since the PS2.
That Animal Pokemon one looked interesting.
Which one? Oh yeah, yeah. And then also like they have what's it called? Fantasian, I think. It was originally on Apple Arcade. It's the creator and composer of the original Final Fantasy games coming together on a new game. Now that's going to be on Switch, so that's kind of a cool get. Like, Dempamen from the DS era, that's sort of an RPG, but, like, that's coming back as a free-to-play. Like, there's a lot of, like, stuff in this presentation. It wasn't, like, the biggest stuff, but on the third-party front, like, excluding maybe, I think the Funko game, I think everything else they showed we hadn't seen anywhere yet. Or Lego Horizon we also saw elsewhere. So 2 out of however many games we saw elsewhere, but they actually managed to like put a lot of unannounced
Wait, that
things
Funko
from
game
third
had been
parties.
shown before?
It was definitely announced before. I don't know if we saw
gotcha.
footage, but yeah, no, because I think they announced it like in May, maybe.
That game looked terrible, by the way.
Yeah,
I'm sorry to the devs. That game looks like ass. God damn.
I understand why in terms of the IPs involved and the premise of it, but it was weird that Nintendo carved out as much time as they did for that. And like that felt, oh yeah, this is the tail end of the Switch life. Even though there's a lot of like surprisingly decent third party stuff. The fact that they didn't just do like a quick sizzle, but like actually talked about Funko was definitely a like, oh yeah, we're in the doldrums. Yep. Yeah, well, I mean, were there any other third party games that jumped out to you guys at all? Because we still have a lot of first party to talk about.
Third party, I mean...
You already said, but super cool that Dragon's Quest 1, 2, and 3 are getting an HD remake.
Yeah.
Those are games that I would love to play, but I just do not have the time for. But super cool that they're remaking them.
And they look great. Like the art style. Yeah, I mean, Square Enix has been like slowly perfecting the HD 2D thing from Octopath Traveler on, but they nailed it here.
I don't think it looks as good as Octopath or Triangle Strategy, but it still looks good. It still looks great.
Is it because I couldn't put my finger on it, but now that you like connected that dot in my head just now, is it because it doesn't have the same shadow effects? Is that
I think that's what it is.
Well, no.
Yeah.
I mean, aren't the environments in those latter games actually still pixelated in some way? Like they're still in a 3D environment, but the art, because the buildings are still like drawn, like they're not fully CG renders. They're like 3D aesthetic and they're pixelated aesthetic in 3D, I recall. And these and Dragon Quest are full on just.
No, I think I want to say
that would have just been a 3D environment.
I want to say Octopath had like a kind of Paper Mario vibe where it was like the characters were one style and the rest was something else. But
well, that's how this is. If anything, this one is more jarring because you have, the pixelated characters and just a literal like, field that's textured grass and like that without any. Like one is GameCube and one is pixelated. That's kind of how.
Oh, I see. Yeah, Octopath. You're right. They kept the kind of pixelated motif in the textures of the ground and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's all unified with pixelation.
Right, and the lack of shadows. But hey, if you want shadows, Year of Shadows, Sonic Cross Shadow Generations is coming to Switch this year too. It wasn't in the Direct, but it was in Summer Game Fest. So. Yeah. Your Shadow's over there if you need Shadow.
Be it this one or Dragon Quest, that aesthetic to Chrono Trigger. Maybe that will actually get me to play it.
Or like the Mana series. I know they're doing like a new Vision of Mana game for like the more powerful consoles, and they've already kind of basically said it's coming to Switch too. Like it'll be on future Nintendo platforms or something like that. But like if they were to remake older Mana games, or even like the game, wasn't there like Sword of Mana on like Game Boy Advance or something? Like if they were to do that in that style, that'd be cool. Kind of an action RPG instead of them all being turn-based. Cool. Yeah. Then there's the first party stuff. We already talked about Mario and Luigi. By the way, on the Mario and Luigi point, 3 Mario RPGs in under a year, each flavor of Mario RPG. The classic Super Nintendo, the Paper Mario iteration in its primest form, as many consider it, and now Mario and Luigi. Like, is this some sort of like IRL market research? Like, are they seeing which way to take the franchise next based on which of these 3 does best or is best received? Like, it's so crazy they're putting out 3 in literally 12 months.
I think Nintendo's just finally wisened up to the fact that the RPG is the best genre of game. So,
this presentation certainly made it seem like everyone wised up to that. That makes games for Switch. It was like 80% RPGs.
I forgot what other direct it was where it was like nothing but RPGs. And I was like, oh, I'm in heaven.
And then there was the one that was all farming games. And they almost slipped in that there was a farming RPG in this one. And I was like, oh boy, here we go. But then they swerved back towards just like JRPG vibes. So... But yeah, first party stuff. So we talked about Mario and Luigi, Brothership. But there were, I will say, I expected, personally, more ports. Like, there were fewer ports. Like Nintendo World Championships being announced as like the game in July, for me, set up the year to look a lot more dire. Like, I was very pleasantly surprised that even though it is a lighter load in total number of games, like, it's 3 games in full that are coming this year that they announced. Mario and Luigi in November, like we were talking about. Mario Party in October. Before that, we have the new 2D Zelda in September. Past years, maybe we get like 5 games going into the holidays. But nonetheless, it's like 3, that's a game a month still. And if you add the Switch Sports, like basketball DLC is kind of like their, late summer release. Let's say maybe it comes in August. They have successfully, in year like 7, going on 8 of the Switch, if I'm doing my math right, continued the 1 game a month cadence without it being majority ports, which I'm very surprised by. I really thought like the Wind Waker rumors, the Twilight Princess rumors, like I thought a lot more ports were the next port isn't until January, and that's Donkey Kong Country Returns. Like I was really kind of surprised that we got some like original, smaller scale, clearly using resources from previous releases on Switch. I mean, the new Zelda is the same engine as Link's Awakening. Mario Party is the Super Mario Party engine and name. Like, they're clearly just kind of towing the line, but new content, not ports. Pleasant surprise. Which one do you have one you guys are most excited about of the ones they announced?
I mean, I guess Donkey Kong. I mean, I know
the port. After all that, you went with the port.
Yeah.
Okay. Nothing wrong with
because
that.
I mean, because it has content from the 3DS that wasn't on the original Wii. I mean, it's just a couple extra levels, but I mean, that's content I didn't play. So,
okay. And it's
looking forward to
HD.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just another opportunity to replay an amazing game, which, you know, eventually I do plan on replaying Tropical Freeze, maybe with my nieces. So that'd be cool. And, you know, maybe by the time we finish those, there'll be a threequel somewhere.
Kevin, what about you? Are you going to also say Donkey Kong? Nothing wrong with Donkey Kong if you say Donkey Kong.
I might, because I just never played Donkey Kong Country Returns.
Okay. It's a really good game, to be fair. Yeah.
Yeah, I love the original trilogy. Yeah, why not?
All right, fair enough. Well, I'm going to talk about the new stuff because I have thoughts. I don't know which one. I think of the new stuff coming between now and the end of the year. We'll get to Metroid. I think of the new stuff coming now and the end of the year. I'm really into, in concept, the new Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, which in concept, and I keep saying concept, which I'll get to, I said something like this on social, but basically it checks a lot of boxes at once. Like, they brought back 2D Zelda. They figured out a way to take what's now staples of 3D Zelda, like the DIY mechanics of Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild, and retrofit them into 2D Zelda. They brought back the really cool art style of Link's Awakening, and they finally gave Zelda her own game. And they did that all in one fell swoop. And it's out in like 3 months.
Nintendo is so woke now. I can't stand it.
It's interesting. Is that discourse already happening? I haven't seen that.
No, it's
too
not.
much. Okay, good. I thought you were mocking a real discourse.
I have not seen it. I would have loved. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's. I mean, what I saw was a lot of people being like, "Why didn't they just call it Legend of Link?" Because now Link's the kind of thing you're striving to get to versus Zelda. But I'm sure branding reason. There's a lot of weird stuff with names in this direct. I mean, Brothership was the okay one, but like Zelda Legend Echoes of Wisdom could be Legend of Link. Super Mario Party Jamboree, which we'll talk about. Like, Party and Jamboree kind of mean the same thing. A Jamboree is just a slightly bigger party, so I get it. But also, that's kind of like calling your game ATM machine slightly, which is okay. But the name that I thought was really bizarre, well, actually 2 opportunities they missed. 1 opportunity they missed. Donkey Kong Country Returns HD could have been Donkey Kong Country Returns. But of course they wouldn't do that. But the one I thought was really bizarre.
Wait, say that again? Because
They could have called Donkey Kong Country Returns HD Donkey Kong Country Returns, or really just re-emphasize the word returns. No, that it's no way they would do that. The one I actually think is weird. They made a separate app, and I'll get back to Zelda. They made a separate app for mature-rated N64 games on Switch Online. And I believe they did this because they don't want to put a mature rating on every trailer for every N64 game that they ever release on Switch Online going forward, or else, Yoshi's Story on Switch Online rated M for mature, because they have to. If the game's in there, they have to put that rating. So they made a separate app just for the mature games. But the name of the download, if you go to the eShop or their website, is Nintendo 64 trademark symbol dash Nintendo Switch Online : mature in all caps 17 plus. That's a really mouthful. That's just an awful name. It does not and then they said that out loud in the presentation. Like Perfect Dark and Turok available in the Nintendo 64, Nintendo Switch Online library, mature 17 plus app. And it's just like, oh my God, these names are getting ridiculous. So that's my nitpick with names. But Zelda. Let's talk about Zelda, right? Yeah, I think it's really cool that they checked all those boxes that I was starting to say, with the DIY and adding Zelda herself and all that as a playable character. I want to be super. I'm gonna get it. I'm excited to play it. I kind of want to know how much DIY is DIY. Like Tears of the Kingdom does some very cool stuff with crafting and building your own stuff, but it's extremely open ended. And I found that personally, the Zeldas I prefer tend to be a little more structured, have guardrails, if you will. They can be a little more reined in, a little more structured. I really like A Link Between Worlds. Wind Waker is one of my favorites, if not my all-time favorite. And that one, while it is open-ended, it's very clear, go to this island, go to that island. Oh, maybe you'll find an island in between, but it's very there's some linearity to it. You're going here now, you're going there now.
You want your handheld.
I want my handheld. and I don't know. No, I do. You're right.
I'm
and
just kidding. It's not. Yeah.
No,
I feel
no,
like
no. That's exactly
that
it.
brings
Like,
out negative connotations. But...
I know, but no. You say it jokingly, but I'm saying it seriously. Like, I do kind of like that.
Yeah,
like, I'm excited.
You want a streamlined narrative, or actually,
yeah,
maybe it's not narrative.
That's why I like the Mario games more in general. But like for example, even with like Stray, and we were just talking about Stray's kind of Switch. I'm really excited about that because that's like a linear game where a cat explores a city. And when I played Little Kitty Big City at IGN Live, they did a great job. But it's like kind of a big old sandbox, and you just do stuff in it and do little assignments and missions. And like I kind of like the idea of a linear cat in a city versus a sandbox cat in a city. So I'm looking at Echoes of Wisdom, and I've watched the footage a few times over. I'm just trying to figure out like, okay, so you can take anything you see and make a so-called echo of it using this new tri-wand or whatever they call it, and you can solve puzzles however you want using anything you've seen before, including enemies. You can spawn enemies and have them work for you, which kind of reminds me of Spirit Tracks, actually, where you had your little assistant guy. But like, how wide open are we talking here? And it looks like there are some limitations. Like, I noticed the little the fairy that follows Zelda, I think is its name, has like little triangles around it, and every time you spawn an echo, it removes a triangle. So I'm guessing there's like, you can use up to 3 or 4 items at a time, and at least, that's a smaller scale than like Tears of the Kingdom, where you could just keep stacking your batteries and power and do like a bajillion things at once. So maybe that will keep it a little like more guardrailed for me. Kind of the same way that like, Link Between Worlds is felt smaller in scope and scale and structure than its 3D counterparts. So I'm crossing my fingers that Echoes of Wisdom does have a little more guardrails. But yeah, that's the thing I kind of was most like, I don't know. Like, it's a really cool concept, but I don't know if it's like the right fit for me. But it's the one I'm most excited about, with the hope that it does kind of lean more in a Link Between Worlds direction. But I guess time will tell. I don't know.
It's like a fun, charming little puzzle game.
Yeah, and like I really love like that they brought back the art style, and they're giving Zelda her like there's like I guarantee you for the holidays we're gonna be seeing a lot of like the Princess Power on Nintendo Switch, like get Princess Peach Showtime, get Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, like girl power, et cetera, et cetera. Like there's gonna be a lot of marketing around that to get like Switch lights in the hands of like little girls and stuff like that. And that's another reason I'm kind of hopeful that Echoes of Wisdom might be a little more streamlined and like guardrailed, because if they're gonna do a marketing move like that, they probably want it to be a little more approachable. You're not gonna give a 8-year-old girl Tears of the Kingdom right off the bat and be like, figure it out. It's gonna be a little more structured. So yeah. Hopefully that's kind of the direction it goes, but we'll see. But that's what I'm kind of holding out for. So that's one of the games. The other, coming out a month later, Super Mario Party Jamboree. Angel, you already alluded to this, and they didn't follow up on your thought. You don't like the font?
Yeah, I guess ever since they went to that font with Super Mario Party, pretty much from, I guess, fonts, any kind of personality to this sterile, like, I guess the in-game font, like, like whatever it says, like, oh, you got a star, or, like, winner, or anything like that. It's just
the Wii Sports
very
font.
Plain, white.
The Wii Sports font.
Yeah, it's just very plain. I don't know. It's boring.
It's a reflection of that series so far.
Yeah, it's
sterile.
That font gives me bad vibes.
I do think. I mean, Super Mario Party was kind of an interesting, like, reset of sorts for the franchise, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was a step in the right direction, but once you play it a couple times, you're like, oh, yeah, like, cool, they got board games down, but, like, why is everything on a grid? Why do you move so, like, you barely move, which makes the maps much less interesting because there's, like, not much it takes a whole lap to get to, like, the gimmick. And by the time you're done with the lap, the game is basically over. And, I mean, they obviously, like, listened to that feedback, and, I mean, they basically just redid Semester 1, 2, and 3 and kept the same rules with the lucky chances. I mean, they kept them in Mario Party Superstars, and they still felt out of place to me. Like, it felt like, man, I don't know, they felt way too, like, they appeared way too often. I don't know. It kind of took a little bit of the chaos away, and it just made it feel like more sanitation of Mario Party, which is supposed to be just chaotic and kind of wacky.
Well, it's funny because
but we'll see. I mean, but you know,
like
but
even with,
every game they're going in the right direction. I feel like I don't
even
think
with Super Mario Party, I feel like they thought they were getting more chaotic by lowering the coin count for stars, but ended up taking out some of the oomph instead of adding oomph, which was interesting.
well,
like
yeah,
in theory, more stars, more quickly, more accessible would mean more.
But you were getting also less points per
wild
minigame.
competition.
Like they pretty much negated what they did, but somehow it resulted in, on average, you would get way less stars than you would ever get in any other given Mario Party, because sometimes you would just like steamroll and somehow are able to get like 2 or 3 stars in a turn if you're, you know, if the randomness is just kind of there with the way things work out, where the star lands, where you land on some random star space or something.
Right.
But the pacing of the actual game was what killed it for me, because oh my god, why does everything need a 5-minute animation?
Yeah, like the high-fiving of your partner when they join you every single time.
Or just, going to the store.
Oh, that's right.
When you buy the item, and then you get a little confetti, and then everyone celebrates, and then it's like, oh,
I forgot about that.
Yeah, there was so much fluff, like much.
And then Superstars just fixed everything. So hopefully that transfers over. Superstars fixed that. So hopefully that transfers over to this.
It's so interesting because
I do like that they brought Bowser back as a playable character, which, like I mentioned, is like amazingly awesome. But
does that mean no Bowser spaces?
Yeah, that's weird too, because they did show a minigame where Bowser's huge, but presumably anyone could be that huge character. But I don't know.
And
did
that
you see
was
Bowser Jr. as a playable character
from the new.
I guess they could take that.
That giant Bowser was specifically from the new, Fall Guy inspired mode. Or something? Yeah. So it might not apply to the regular board games. I'm not sure, but it was really
interesting name. But yeah.
Yeah, what's really interesting to me about it is like. It feels like, in a way, so Super Mario Party is like the best-selling Mario Party game of all time by like a lot. And Super Mario Superstars did well, but nowhere near Super Mario Party level. Super Mario Party became like, if you get a Mario Party for Switch, and I don't get that either. But it almost feels like they're picking up.
I'm willing to bet that it had to do with the fact that a lot of hardcore Mario Party fans, goddamn.
I think you mean hardcore Mario Partiers. Yes.
Exactly, yeah. Partygoers. A lot of hardcore partygoers, Super Mario Party might have left a bad taste in their mouth, and they just didn't know that it was like the classic Mario Party style.
Yeah. I think that makes a lot of sense. But I think what's interesting is Nintendo's almost like pretending, because Super Mario Party was the bestseller on Switch and for the franchise, they're now making a sequel. Like, it's not called Mario Party Jamboree. It's Super Mario Party Jamboree. It's not using some of the stuff from Mario Superstars. It's using the look and feel of Super Mario Party. But then it's integrating some of the gameplay lessons they learned worked better in Superstars. So it's almost like they're pretending Superstars didn't really happen. And this is the sequel to the Mario Party that everyone bought and loved when, a year into the Switch's life, that went on to sell like 20 million copies or whatever it is. So like I thought was very interesting that they're taking that.
What gives me hope is the fact that they are adding that map. 2 maps from Mario Party 1 and 2.
Because that means it has to somehow play nice with that format.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It has to play nice with that style of gameplay. So I'm thinking that this is just straight up the actual sequel that everybody wanted from, Mario Party 8?
10? 9, 10?
No, 9 and 10 do not count.
You don't want to all pile into one car and drive around together?
Right.
Speaking of cars, I can't believe they've never done it before. A Mario Kart themed board. It's so obvious in hindsight. How did they not have that before this game?
Right.
Yeah. But, it does kind of feel like they're picking up where they left off, but doing it in a way that lets them carry on kind of what feels like a franchise reset from Super Mario Party. Because Super Mario Party, I really feel like was them kind of doing like a new Super Mario Brothers sort of soft reboot. And some of the ideas didn't work, and some of them did, and now they're kind of like, all right, well, here's the new Super Mario Brothers Wii for Mario Party. Like they're skipping 2 because it's just coin challenges and going straight into Wii, and that means it's a lot more of everything, more modes, more this and next thing. And that was something that seems kind of cool about Jamboree, is that like there's a lot of stuff going on in this game. They keep saying the most mini games ever, and that's correct by approximately 10 extra mini games. So I guess, but like the different modes, the Fall Guy inspired thing, like everyone's doing Fall Guy now. Fall Guys, plural, I mean. Actually, when I was at IGN Live, I tried. Did you know there's a Fall Guys that's not Fall Guys called Stumble Guys, but plays just like Fall Guys and looks just like Fall Guys?
Yep.
I didn't know that existed. I tried it, and I was like, wow, this is Fall Guys. But at least like Mario Party's doing, its riff on it and having like a cool like online interpretation. I know Super Monkey Ball when it comes out next week, Banana Rumble, the whole Rumble aspect is it too is doing a riff on Fall Guys, but with Monkey Ball characters and Monkey Balls. So don't take that out of context. So, yeah, like I kind of like that Fall Guys has inspired all these sort of like bigger multiplayer experiments of existing franchises. So I'm on board with the Jamboree aspect of Mario Party Jamboree. Yeah, the question just becomes how far do they go in the direction of classic Mario Party versus this weird reboot of that was Super Mario Party. But yeah, I think if nothing else, us three need to get together and play it and have a fun time.
Oh yeah, it will be
a fun.
It will be a fun night. We'll have some sunny D's, and yeah, it'll be great.
And to
much
clarify,
as Super Mario Party, I feel like we were lukewarm on it.
Yeah.
We still had fun with the game.
Yeah, oh, for sure. Yeah, you can't really go wrong with Mario Party. There can be things you can nitpick and things you be like, well, why was it this and not that? But at the end of the day, it's who you play it with, and it's always a good time.
Yeah, the only thing that really affects is how often we go back to it. Because,
exactly.
It's a difference between years and years later, us, we'll still sometimes, like, boot up, like, one of the old Mario Parties once in a while, but never Super Mario Party at this point. Like, it's not even really, like,
I've booted up
with Superstars is right there. Why would we play
exactly
Super Mario Party?
Yeah, so I have high hopes for Jamboree, for Jamboree. And then obviously right after that, like 2 weeks later, is Mario and Luigi. And then that, as of now, is it for Nintendo's 2024 first-party lineup. There is a part of me that thinks that Metroid Prime 4... So there's all those rumors that the Switch 2 is going to come out this year, right? It's going to be like for the holidays or going into the holidays. And then they needed, games. And then they delayed the console to ensure they have the games they want. And there's a part of me that's looking at this lineup from Nintendo that they've announced and going... oh, hey, I know which game caused the delay, Metroid Prime 4. Because if you look at the lineup, and it's totally fine that they're taking the time to polish it, but if you look at the lineup, Zelda comes out the same week Link's Awakening did. Mario Party comes out the same week Super Mario Party did, which is also the week Mario Wonder did. Mario and Luigi Brotherhood comes out a week or two before, just like the other past Mario RPGs have done, comes out a week or two before what is traditionally Nintendo's biggest release weekend of the holidays, which is the third week of November. The one time a Mario RPG came out that week was Super Mario RPG last year, but prior to that, Mario & Luigi's would either be second week of November or early December or like spring. And then that third week of November is the big holiday game. And 2 out of 3 Metroid Primes came out that weekend, and stuff like Mario 3D World came out that weekend. And, that is like the weekend for a big release. So if Metroid hypothetically wasn't, maybe not a 2025 game, that would have slotted in perfectly in that completely empty weekend. And I can't remember the last time Nintendo left that weekend empty. So if anyone's wondering why Switch 2 is in 2025, I would bet you at one point in time, and you could probably dig up documents of it at NOA or at Nintendo's Japanese offices, there's probably plans to have Metroid Prime 4 out the third weekend of November, and now it's in 2025, and that's why now Mario & Luigi, which is 2 weeks earlier than Nintendo's favorite holiday weekend, is the big flagship game. And it works because, it's a bigger scale game than it was before. Mario & Luigi was always, handheld only. But I would bet you that's where Metroid Prime was going to go. But instead, we're getting in 2025. They confirmed it's a real game. It's called Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. They showed some footage that definitely looks like Metroid Prime. What do you guys think of it? That's what everyone thought of it. Okay.
Yeah, pretty much.
I will say, I know it's a teaser that was designed to be like, hey, look, here's Metroid Prime. And I know they showed some cool stuff. The like lush world at the end of the teaser looked really cool. Kind of gave me like Pandora from Avatar vibes. They showed some cool like scripted events that happen, like when you're navigating as the morph ball and there's like space pirates that are trying to blow up a door, and then you get to the other side of the door and you see that they kind of blew it up. Like you see stuff happening. But yeah, it in light of Metroid Prime Remastered coming out when it did, this doesn't, I don't think, have the same graphical
honestly, like
oof from that initial
it
trailer as it could have if they did.
It just could have used an actually like a trailer that was actually like directed. Like this one just felt like they just had
Splices.
random footage that they just spliced like together back to back. Like, oh, here's some gameplay. Here's like Silex busting through a door. I'm through a wall. And if anything, I would argue like if they had just showed like everything after that title, you know, where you have that lush world with the more interesting sounding music and the title screen, like that would have been way more interesting. I mean, the thing is that for Metroid Prime 4, I don't know, like I'm looking forward to it, excited about it. You know, it's a Metroid Prime game. But Metroid Prime 3, I thought they wrapped up the story nicely. Yeah, they teased Silex at the end of that one too, so, you know, there was still more stuff to do. But, you know, like, it was fine. Like, you know, it's one of those games where it's like, yeah, I don't need a sequel, but yeah, if they make one, cool. That's awesome. But, point is, I was already sold on it. So, right. It didn't really, all they could really do is just, I don't know what they could have done to make me more excited about it. If anything, it's like, I already know I'm getting it, so I don't really gain much from seeing anything. If anything, I'm spoiling any potential, like, something that would make for a really cool surprise. But all it did was just like, yeah, there's Samus. Yeah, that's Metroid Prime. And, like I said, the ending part was the most interesting thing about it. And it's like, yep, they are continuing where they left off with Silex training Samus, and Silex is still involved. And, I mean, I guess, like, you know, those Metroids don't look quite like normal Metroids, but I don't know.
It's weird to me because, yeah, I feel like, and I sort of starting to say this, you got to prime, pun not intended, you got to prime the audience to get, like, geared up for Metroid Prime 4. It's been, 17 years or something since Metroid Prime 3, is that right? 2007 till now, whatever that is on the Wii. So you gotta ramp people back. That's crazy, right? But you gotta like ramp people back into Metroid. So I understand why they did Metroid Prime Remastered. I'm sure they're gonna do re-releases of 2 and 3 at some point. Maybe not as fully, enhanced but maybe just quick and dirty ports. I don't know, but I'm sure they're gonna do it. And I'm sure that by doing Metroid Prime Remastered, they gave Retro the opportunity to kind of like, warm up those old Metroid Prime muscles by kind of getting back in the groove with Metroid Prime and then going straight to 4 and developing something new. But it really did feel like because that trailer was just kind of slices of what we may expect without much direction, as Angel put it kind of just felt like I was watching a slightly prettier Metroid Prime Remastered. Like, I feel like Metroid Prime Remastered coming out a year ago and looking as shockingly good as it did almost undercut the, like if this trailer was like 3 years ago and Metroid Prime Remastered came out after we saw it, I'd be like, whoa, Metroid Prime 4. But I'm like, oh yeah, it looks like it's the Metroid Prime Remastered engine, just like even prettier. Like, okay, cool, great.
And obviously, like the development of this game hasn't been exactly smooth. We don't know how tumultuous it was.
Yeah, and it's nothing against the developers. It's how it was marketed.
Yeah, like for all we know, if Retro had been at home from the very beginning, we probably would have had this trailer back when we got that initial just title teaser. Because, clearly back then when that title was revealed for Metroid Prime 4, the direction of the game was definitely going in a very different direction just based on that title alone. It felt like if anything, it was like, we're bringing back Dark Samus, but, it's all speculation. Because clearly Nintendo didn't like the direction they were going. Like, nope, we're scrapping everything. And now it's like, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. So, if anything, they're de-emphasizing the tied to Dark Samus and Zone, which, was the whole point of Metroid Prime. I mean, Metroid Prime is literally the name of the final boss of the first game.
Yeah.
So,
and I do...
At this point, it just stands for first-person Metroid, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. And it is probably the start of a new story. It is funny that ultimately, for this Metroid, the Metroids that fans were least into in many ways. Metroid Prime Hunters. I mean, I love Metroid Prime Hunters, but a lot of fans, it's not true Metroid Prime. Metroid Prime Federation Force, that's not true Metroid Prime, which it wasn't. Somehow the lore out of those two games is going to be driving a lot of Beyond and Beyond. Like, if there's a 5, there's 6. Like, I feel like you actually had to play the games that felt the least Metroid Prime-y to be fully hooked into the story for the new Metroid Primes.
There's your chance, Nintendo. Bring over Federation Force.
What was that, Ken?
Was Federation Force canon?
I think it was, technically.
Oh,
pretty sure
it was a side story, though. You played...
They should port it over to the Switch.
I honestly, honestly, the idea...
I don't know
Makes
how
sense.
you do that without a lot of people like me saying, what the hell is this game?
Unless they do it as
Blast
part of a collection. If they do like Metroid Prime Hunters Collection and Federation Force is a co-op mode inside the collection, in the way that Blast Ball was a mode inside Federation Force.
Yeah, but it's a 3D... I don't think you do that unless you just remake the game from the ground up, honestly.
Oh yeah, no, you'd have to do like some sort of redoing of it. Yeah, it wouldn't really work. But I honestly thought the idea...
That's why a port. That's why I'm like a port. I don't think.
Oh yeah, a straight port wouldn't work. No. But I think same with Metroid Prime Hunters. You'd have to really revamp it because so much of it was relying on the touchscreen set. But what was I gonna say? And like a lot of how the mechanics of it worked were understanding that you're like dragging a finger across the touchscreen, so they have to tweak a lot of the physics and stuff. I bet. But what I was gonna say is like I honestly thought like Federation Force. I know it got bad rap because people wanted Metroid Prime 4, but the idea of like taking Four Swords and applying it in the Metroid universe to that style of gameplay, and then being like, yes, it's not Samus. You'll play as these Galactic Federation people, but it'll be kind of like exploring the world at a larger level. Like I thought that was kind of cool. Like I thought the idea of it was solid. It was just because people really want Metroid Prime 4 and Nintendo zigged when they wanted them to zag. Like that, you know,
Metroid
that kind of was its
358
downfall.
over 2 days.
What?
Metroid 358 over 2 days.
Oh, 358 over 2. Yeah. Imagine the canon. Everything and anything Samus ever touches is now canon, and you have to play it all repeatedly in multiple remakes to get the whole story. Yes,
I feel called out. Yes, I did buy the Kingdom Hearts complete.
I knew you would.
Complete, whatever the complete bundle on Steam. I'm weak. All right.
Did it come with the music one as well?
With the music? No, that's the only one that hasn't been released on Steam yet.
Does it have
I actually
added
don't know.
lore? Like because
What?
does
Yes,
the
that
Steam
game is
version?
canon.
No,
Oh, is there added lore to
the
the
Steam versions.
Not. They did add a special Keyblade for the Steam.
And that
release, so
Keyblade will be a key
technically-
part of the next story.
It might be.
I mean, knowing them, but yeah, like I was cool with Federation Force in many ways. But yeah, and I do want to say where credits due. Like there were some elements of like Nintendo Store in a weird place with Metroid Prime 4 because people were waiting so long to get anything, and then they did give something that included like a bit. Like you see, there's an attack. Like I was saying, you know, she's in the morph ball. There's space pirates trying to blast the door. Like there's an attack going on. It feels like the intro sequence to the game. But if you compare that to like the intro to Metroid, like the first trailer for Metroid Dread, where they like introduced the whole idea of the Emmy and all that sort of thing, or if you look at like the Breath of the Wild first debut, or the Tears of the Kingdom first debut, where they're like, you know, Breath of the Wild, it's like, oh look, like he's wearing a blue tunic and he's like out in this world with this weird mechanical thing, and oh look at Tears of the Kingdom, he's like elevating, or they're down in like these caves. What's that about? Like. Metroid Prime 4 is just kind of like, yeah, you know Metroid, here it is again. And that was kind of weird for them to position it that way, in my opinion. But I was excited to see it was there, but I wasn't necessarily super amped about what I saw. Just knowing that I saw something, meaning the game's real, was exciting in and of itself, if that makes sense. I think is where I kind of land. Like the content didn't excite me, but the fact that the content was being presented to me excited me. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it makes sense. It's weird because I feel like internally, even though I'm not really saying it, I thought this was one of their better directs in a while.
Oh, yeah, the direct was, yeah. I just meant the editing of the Prime 4 trailer. Yeah. Yeah, I think this direct, and I not to like regurgitate a point I made on Twitter, but I think what this direct really like highlighted to me is Nintendo, and there are maybe a few companies that fall under this bucket, but Nintendo's really one of the few companies in gaming that like they can have a really solid lineup and not have to have like the triple-A-ist AAA title. Like they don't need to have the biggest, most expansive new 3D Mario and the biggest, most expansive Zelda and this, that, next thing, and still pump out a really interesting and fun and exciting looking set of games. Like I was saying, kind of top, all the first party stuff, it's smaller scale. It's using existing engines and assets and stuff. But there's still really cool ideas in them. And, like, there's still stuff to be excited about. And Nintendo's still going to probably kill it this holiday in a lot of ways. And not a lot of companies have that luxury of basically doing, like, upper AA games, but having them carry enough interest and weight and momentum to be as successful as AAA games would be, And I think it's because Nintendo has such a big audience that, like, not every game needs to be a 20 million seller. It can be a 5 to 10 million seller and still do well, but because those are the scales that Nintendo works at, they could do these kind of smaller stake releases, still pumping a lot of interesting ideas and still deliver good games that people want to play and that will sell well and that will give them momentum, and then save the really big guns for Switch 2 next year. Like, that's what the presentation really felt like to me. It was just like Nintendo found, like, the way to keep AA gaming alive, and it was really cool to see, like, interesting stuff come out of that.
Yeah. Well, on that diddle, if any of you have any final thoughts on the Nintendo Direct?
One odd small thing. Speaking of AA versus AAA games, you know what's really weird? 2025 has a really surprisingly big Switch lineup. In a way, Pokemon Legends ZA, Metroid Prime 4, I guess the Donkey Kong Country Returns port. All three of those games coming out the year that Switch 2's coming out. Like, when's the last time Nintendo did a transition that smooth, where they're still pumping out very anticipated, very big name, very big scale games like Pokemon Legends and Metroid Prime 4. Like, that's kind of cool. They finally figured out the cadence to just go right seamlessly into a new generation. That's my last thought. That's all I've got.
There you go. That was Jason's last thought on that.
It sure was.
All right. Well, I guess if you want more Jason, I guess here's Jason again with the housekeeping.
You can't escape me. Yes, you can find all our thoughts on... Well, actually, before I even get to our thoughts, if you liked what you heard in this episode, you want to hear more of the thoughts in a self-contained single place called a podcast, make sure you subscribe to us on the various podcasting apps so you don't miss our future episodes. It is the end of E3 that's not season, but there's still a lot of cool stuff happening what we talk about, so you can make sure that you don't miss an episode by subscribing to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Pandora, you name it, we're there. We're on YouTube at Ram Nintendo is where you can find us. That's also where you can find us on Twitter at Ram Nintendo. And individually, if you do prefer our scattered thoughts and not have them in one contained place, individually you can get those thoughts from my Twitter at JSR70, which is also my threads. You get those thoughts from Kevin's Twitter at KVN Gomi, and you can get those illustrated versions of those thoughts from Angel's Instagram World of Weros. Back to you, Angel.
And back to Kevin for the final word.